Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another broadcast of Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I'm joined tonight by Mr. Blake Duckworth, my co-host. Uh, Blake, go ahead and open the show, bud.
How's everyone doing this week? As always, guys, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like, and the bell notification. Leave us a comment. And can't thank you guys enough. And let's give Tommy a warm welcome. Did you announce who our guest was, Ricky?
No, I didn't. Go ahead, bud.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Tonight we got Mr. William Thomas Keene from Mollusca, Georgia, joining us. Tommy, I think it was Tuesday, no, Monday, had a sighting in behind his house while he was cutting some firewood. Creature was up on the edge of a little bank above the house in the woodland. We're going to bring Tommy on and let him explain to everyone what he saw. Uh, so, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing Mr. Tommy on. Good
How
evening,
y'all?
Tommy. Welcome to the show, bud.
Hey, Tommy.
How y'all doing?
We're doing good, as we explained. Just go ahead and give the people a little detail about your
Hang on.
sighting.
I just want to apologize to everyone if I disappear. I'm having major problems on my phone's charging or my phone charging. So hopefully I can get it to make through the show. But if I disappear, that is why. You can go ahead, Tommy.
Well, I was sitting out here at my house, cutting some firewood up, splitting some firewood up, loading my trailer up with wood, uh, working my tail off, trying to get the yard mowed, everything like I normally would doing yard work. But no, I got tired, a little bit wore out, had to get something to drink, so I sat down. And as I sat down, and everything, I was minding my business. I heard a noise, probably 75 yards to 100 yards off behind the house in the woods. Well, I looked up, and when I did, the size of a basketball, black, hairy looking head, and was between 8 to 10 foot in the air. I wasn't sure what it was at first. I probably got to sit there and look at it for about a minute, 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it was like it was never there. There ain't no telling how long it was actually standing there watching me work.
Tommy, was this thing? What was it doing? Was it like beside a tree, behind a tree, looking out at you?
It was standing right there at a tree looking at me.
Now let's talk about a little bit
Could you
where
could
this
you
is
tell?
actually at.
Oh,
So just to let everybody know, this is pretty close to Lake Allatoona. Um, Actually, where me and Ricky talk about a lot, where we've had a bunch of our encounters. This area itself, all around the lake. I mean, which he's not super close to the lake, but he is in the general area of this location. Um, it's a Bigfoot hotspot. I mean, out of one of the other than like Blue Ridge, it probably has one of the most reports and sightings in our general area. So, if you want to kind of explain a little bit, Tommy,
about where I'm located.
whatever you want to share.
Well, as I was on my way home today, I come to realize I'm about 5 or 6 miles from a lake that actually cuts into Lake Altoona. Uh, I'm probably 2 or 3 miles, 4 miles maybe, up above Woluska. I'm actually in Canton, Georgia. If that helps everybody out where I'm located.
Right. Well, I know going in, you turn off.
Now, go ahead, Ricky.
What's that highway you turn off there going back into your house?
140.
140. Okay.
I'm up
Now,
here on Highway 140.
the area you're at, Are you in a residential area, more of kind of off by yourself?
Well, I have a subdivision probably a mile and a half. When you pull out my driveway, take a left, about a mile and a half that way. 2 miles maybe. But majority of it, I'm out in the country land.
So
Now
how far?
you would be on what, the northeast side of Alatoona?
Yes.
Now, how far are you actually from Alatoona, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, I'm
Like
probably about
as
15,
a
20 minutes.
crow flies.
Probably about 15, 20 minutes away from Altoona.
What makes it so interesting, this whole area, as Blake said,
Well, especially the north side. That is the
right.
most common factor too. I mean, yes, there are reports all around the lake, even the Cobb side, even when you get more down towards, a little bit busier areas. But the north side, it seems to have the most reports, and you're on that north side.
Oh yeah,
Now,
it
Tommy,
was
when you saw
scariest
the
I've ever
creature,
seen.
I know you had told me here a couple of weeks ago that y'd been hearing strange noises around the house and all, but when you actually saw this creature, did the creature ever show any aggression to you, or just stand there watching you and then just vanish, or what?
No, it showed no aggression or nothing. It just actually stood there and actually was pretty much just watching me.
Well, if you'd have never seen it, you'd never known it was there.
No, I would never know it was there. I was actually what caught my attention was I heard like tree limbs and stuff breaking, and it wasn't like a real big tree limb. It's like the smaller tree limbs. And during the day,
So something, a normal size animal in the woods would make. Nothing abnormal far as super loud movement or.
no, nothing really loud. I mean, it's broad daylight, probably around 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the evening and during the day.
So
I mean,
basically, this creature was just it's curious. It was curious as to what you was doing.
yeah, it was just pretty much curious what I was doing and
Now,
everything.
were you making a lot of noise?
Yes, while I was loading the trailer, instead of me just gently laying the wood on my trailer, I was actually throwing it up on my trailer. So I was making quite a bit of noise. Um, yeah, I know. Also, there's a burn ban going on right now for the state of Georgia. But I had like a little campfire going on, so a little bit of smoke, stuff like that. So I don't know if that could have brought it in or not.
Now, have you no smell, nothing like that you noticed?
I didn't notice nothing. I can't say this much. They are friendly when it comes to livestock, like horses, mules, stuff like that. Because there's actually some horse and a mule and a little Jenny in the pasture right behind me. Uh,
Don't mess with them.
it never messed with them, as far as I know. Because, I mean, as I looked up and I noticed the creature, like I said, I've probably seen it minute to 2 minutes. So I think it's more curious of if I was a threat or friendly or something like that. When after I seen it for about a minute or 2 minutes, I probably a blink of an eye, and it was like nothing was ever there. And then all of a sudden, here comes the livestock walking by.
Now,
Hold
do you
on,
know who
guys.
owns the land the livestock's on?
Yeah,
I do not know who owns the land to the livestock.
I ain't did nothing yet. I'm doing
Be just
podcast.
curious to talk to them, whoever owns that, and just see if they, if they've had any experiences or anything like that.
I know. Going back off towards the corner of my property is where I seen it,
Huh?
and what I can understand from my 13-year-old son, between the property line between me and the ones with the livestock. Off to the left side of it, there's nothing back through there. It's just,
Sorry about that, guys.
and I got told there's quite a bit of livestock out through that way, or not livestock, but wild animals. So I mean,
Now the land behind your property, I mean, is it pretty dense, far as trees and stuff for a distance, or does it go into any populated areas,
I really don't.
beyond that, or
I
y'all
really
know?
don't know. I know right behind my house, I probably got about 30, 35 yards of woods that I know of. But I walked all the way down to that corner uh, about 3 weeks before Monday, and my 13-year-old showed me, hey, it keeps going back, and it is a wooded area. So,
When Tommy, as I told you earlier, uh, I hope to be able to come down. I don't know if Blake's going to be able to join me or not, but I hope to be able to come down there Friday evening or Friday night one, and walk the area out with you, and see if we can locate any sign, any footprints, anything like that.
right.
Have you looked for any footprints, or
Negatory. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not one that you call scared, but when I seen that right there, it was two things come to mind: fight or flee. I wasn't fighting because I had one. I would have no chance against it, and I thought about the same thing everybody says when it comes to like a bear. If you run from a bear, it's going to show the bear, hey, I'm in control. So I just sit back and relax and look.
now when it went to leave? I mean, did you hear? I mean, did it sound big when it was leaving, or did you? 'Cause I know you said it was just there and kind of like just disappeared. Typically, how most people describe it, but
I heard when it would disappear, I heard like stuff being hit as it was going, and then it just faded off.
They say these creatures are one of the most stealthiest creatures there is in the woods. Um,
Yeah,
and basically, from my experience and Blake's experience from them, I know Blake's got to agree with me on this. We've had encounters and basically the same way. Uh, and these things, they can be there one moment, and next moment they're gone. I have had, we've interviewed people on here that said they've left out and sound like a freight train leaving out through the woods, and then we have had people that said, that they never heard a thing when they come up gone. So
see, but the noises I heard as it was leaving don't make no sense because it's like metal noises I was hearing, like something hitting metal.
like something hitting metal.
Yeah,
so just
I
like a
mean,
metallic sound, like metal on metal sound.
yeah, metal on metal sound.
Hmm.
But about a week before that, no, about 2 weeks before that, uh, it was on a weekend, a Saturday night. No, it was on a Sunday night. Me and my boy was outside. I had like a little campfire going on, and I know it wasn't no human. I know it wasn't no deer. I've seen deers and I've heard deers walk through the woods. I've heard humans walk through the woods and everything like that. But about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I hear like massive footsteps coming through the woods on my right hand side. But then all this right here is behind my house. So first thing I do that late at night, I'm not sure what it is. I send my boy inside to grab my handgun for mine and his protection. Well, my boy didn't bring my handgun; he brought my shotgun. But yeah, After I heard them noises to my right, the next morning after I carried the kids to school, I did not see no animals, no nothing. And when I get home, there's a deer appear out of nowhere running through my backyard. So I don't know if the creature's just scouting out, see what's going on. Because I know for a fact, us as humans, we overtook the population of the animals because we moved in on their territory. I did not like
Now,
that. Heard.
not to change subjects. Now, when you seen the head, did you notice any features? Did you? I mean, were you able to get a good enough look that you could
Yeah.
notice any?
Uh, the head looked real black and furry and about the size of a basketball.
Well, now, was the
Uh,
head more of a round shape or a conish shape to it?
well, the base part closer to the neck was like kind of red, but it went up to almost like a conish shape. A little short, stubby neck, it looked like.
So basically, no neck, more of from shoulder to head.
Yeah, pretty much what it was.
And that's basically the reports that we got and that we encounter all the time. People that see these creatures, basically that's how they describe them. I know the one that I saw back in '81. That's basically what it was. It had more of a there was more of a head than anything else that
Right,
protruded off its shoulders. And I'll tell you what, man. Once you see one of these creatures, you'll never forget it. Uh, and it changes your whole outlook. I don't know what it's done as far as you're concerned, Tommy, but I know my personal experience, and I think with Blake, it's changed our whole outlook on what is actually out there in the forest lurking around.
Well, I mean, just like myself, I never, I never. I've always been into like paranormal stuff and mysteries and conspiracies and shit like that. I mean, so it's always intrigued it's always intrigued me. But like before we ever had anything happen down there at the cemetery, I never gave it too much thought. Like, I mean, I was like, yeah, thought about it. Like, yes, it'd be cool if these were, if they exist and stuff like that. But you never think it's gonna happen to you ever. Like, that you really never even think about it. And it's one of those things like when we had all that happen down there, of course, we continued to go down there and investigate and try to get things to happen. But majority of your really like super true experiences happen when you're not expecting it.
oh yeah. It's like,
Oh, most definitely. I mean, that's like back when I saw that one in '81. You know, we were float fishing out there having a good time that day, and didn't think in the world about nothing like that. I had back at that time, I had seen the film clips from the Patty film from 1957, but other than that, I didn't think those things,
No, you're
roamed
not
these
thinking about
woods
it when
like
you're
they did.
outside. Like, like, yeah, you've seen this stuff. Yeah, whatever. But you don't think about it once you go out, when you go out in the woods. But after you have an experience,
right.
you always think about it.
I mean, it's an experience that I never thought I'd ever experience in my life. I mean,
And there a difference between a visual and a hearing a call or wood knocks and stuff
yeah,
like that, because that leaves curiosity in your brain. Like, is it really a Bigfoot? Is it not? There are always what ifs when it comes to things like that. But a visual,
it's something totally different.
well, it makes your brain like it fucks with your brain. Excuse my language, but I mean that's the best way to explain it. I mean,
Well, it awakens you to the it brings you to the point of knowing instead of just believing that there's stuff out there or thinking that there might be stuff out there that you never encountered. It actually brings you to the point that once you've had one of these type encounters, from that day forward, no matter how long you live, you're gonna know that every time you enter those woods, that possibly there could be something in the area that's bigger than you are.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the outlook I've had on it ever since 1981. Boys,
Well,
I've actually,
you
I,
respect it. Like, I mean, you learn to realize that, boars, bears, and coyotes, and your normal things running around the woods isn't necessarily the only thing out there. I mean,
Right.
that's
I mean,
exactly right. And as I told everybody, I've hunted, I've deer hunted, bear hunted, hog hunted these woods in this area from on into to Alabama, Tennessee, ever since I was 7 years old, and never, had I ever imagined. Yes, I had seen the Patty film from California, uh, prior to my sighting, but never had I imagined that something like that would be in the North Georgia wilderness. And when I saw that one for years, I didn't talk about it. Matter of fact, I didn't talk a whole lot about it until uh, Blake and I started having the experiences we had back in 2011 down at the lake. Not to say that I didn't investigate it, because
my
I have.
phone died.
Phone died. All right, Blakester, get in a couple of quick more questions there, bud. You hear us, Blake?
I don't think you can hear us anymore, Ricky.
I think his phone is dead. Blakester, buddy, if you can hear me, uh, I'm going to take you out there and talk a few more minutes with Tommy. Uh, Hopefully, you get your phone situation straightened out by next week. We got a couple of good guys lined up coming on next week with us. Uh, but Tommy, when you uh, when you had your encounter down the other night, did it freak you out? Uh, did it scare you? Did it just what was running through your mind when all this took place?
Dude, when I first had my experience like that, I mean, heck, we've been to the woods before. When we went before hunting and stuff like that, the cows, it bothered me a little bit, but nothing like it did this go around. I mean,
Well, now, folks, I got to explain something to you. Tommy and I have done little investigations together. We went to John's Mountain here a few months back. Matter of fact, I think it's starting the springtime. We was down there, Tommy.
yep,
Foliage on pretty good, and we actually caught a picture of two red eyes, uh, a still photo of two red eyes. It was up on, probably, I'm judging from the photo, they were probably 75 yards up on the hill above where Tommy and I were at. We were right down in a creek basin, and we'd heard some wood knocks and stuff coming from that area. But we got back and started examining those photos we took, and there's two red eyes, man. It looked like they set about 10 to 12 inches apart, and you can tell from the way this thing is that the creature was actually, I'm going to say, at least 8 or 10 foot tall. But these eyes were glowing red, and I know it kind of freaked me out. And when I showed the photo to Tommy, I think it kind of freaked him out. What's your aspects on that, Tom?
yeah, it did kind of freak me out. I am not gonna lie about it because I mean, us out there in the woods. I mean, yeah, it was dark out. Don't get me wrong, but knowing something that big, the eyes spread out that far, just standing there watching us, and the calls we heard that night, yeah, it was kind of freaky. Don't get me wrong. It was
Well,
that was a pretty cool investigation was doing. But again, I'd love to go back and do it again.
well, like I said, Friday night we'll hit that area down there behind your house, and uh, how far would you say the wood line runs from your house back across there?
From from the back of my house to the wood line, I'm probably sitting 30, 35 yards
Okay,
from the wood.
now what would the woods there where they start behind your house? How far do they run back in that general area?
I know over 100 yards. I know over 100, good 100.
Okay, are they adjoining woods to that property though, or
Yeah, it's joining woods through the properties.
okay? Uh, Prior to this, I mean, I know you were talking about hearing noises in the woods here. What, a couple of weeks ago, you and your son.
Yeah, me and my
Right.
boy was hearing noises a couple of weeks ago, and matter of fact, tonight, crazy me, after having an encounter like that, I'm sitting back outside again. Um, I love that outdoors and the wilderness, but the noises are something totally different. I have actually opened up and I guess more of listening to the mother nature and what's going on around me instead of just okay, it's just a little animal or something like that.
This creature you saw. How long would you say the hair was on this creature?
I really can't answer that question, Rick. Uh, I'd say at least a good 3, 4, 5 inches long, but I mean, it was all covered in black.
Now the hand areas. Did you get in? Did you get to see the hands on this thing,
No, I
or
did not.
basically you were focused more on the facial?
I was focused more on the head and everything like that because I mean, when I first seen it, I thought I was actually seeing things at first. I blinked my eyes like 2 or 3 times to make sure I wasn't seeing things. I moved my head to different situations, and it never vanished. It never budged or nothing like that. And then about after, like I said, a minute, 2 minutes, it was gone.
Wow.
I mean, I I talked to a guy on Facebook and some comments and stuff, and I was asking questions there because it was a new experience for me in general. So with that being said, the guy told me he's like it was more probably more interested of if I was a threat or a friend. It showed no aggression to me. Uh, didn't act like it wanted to attack or nothing like that. It just pretty much stayed its distance, stayed away from me in a good distance from me, and just watched. And I can't even tell you how long it stood there and watched me. I
So
know it had.
you don't know if this thing had actually been watching you the whole time. The whole
No,
time you've been
I can't say it was watching me the whole time. Or I can't say it wasn't watching me the whole time.
right.
But the guy that I was talking to on Facebook and everything, he told me for me to be able to see it for the length of period I did see it, it was studying me, watching me to find out, like I said, if I was friendly or if I was a threat.
Right, right. I understand that completely. So basically, this creature, you were loading your trailer with wood. Wood was slapping together, making racket. So this thing basically, it was more curious than it was trying to harm you.
Correct. The more curious what I was doing and stuff like that. Nothing
Well, have you
really.
I know you've got neighbors around you down there. Have you heard any of your neighbors talk about it ever having any kind of encounters in that area?
I have not, because I really don't talk to my neighbors down here.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No. Um, I know the one as I'm sitting here looking at my front door and everything. The ones to my left is an older couple, and they've been there for years. And the ones to my right is a younger couple, but they live up closer to the road. Then I got my neighbors, but right behind my house that again has livestock. So they're always doing something with the animals, stuff like that. They could have probably seen something uh, in their time or heard something.
Right. Well, having this encounter, has it changed your feelings toward going in the woods by yourself anymore?
Me going in the woods by myself. No, it has not changed. No outlook on me going in the woods by myself. Besides, I would not go in the woods without carrying something, some type of protection with me at all costs.
Right.
I mean,
I understand that.
I know it probably ain't gonna do me no good, nothing like that, because I mean, something that big has to weigh a good 1,500 pounds to 2,000 pounds easy. Something that tall. I mean, I don't think really there's a gun that I own that could actually do any kind of protection for me. It might slow it down for a few minutes where I try to get a little bit of distance, but if it wants me bad enough, there ain't nothing's gonna stop it.
Well, as you know, we here at Northwest Georgia Cryptics, we are a no-kill group. We don't believe whatsoever in trying to put one of these things on a slab to let scientists cut it up to see what makes them tick. I mean,
Exactly.
that's one of the biggest things that separates a lot of the groups in the Facebook or in the Bigfoot world right now is the fact that there is some of them out there that they think, oh, we need to kill one of these creatures and put them on a slab to where scientists can actually prove that they exist. Well, folks, we've got proven fact all down through the generations that these creatures have been out there from the Indians on down, before that even. And, as far as me wanting to go out there just to kill one to put him on the slab where they can say, oh, yeah, they are real, I'm not going to do that. I'm not all
No.
about that. I do carry protection with me because, in our area, we do have a lot of hogs, we have a lot of bears, we have uh, uh, people, they claim we don't have mountain lions in this area, but I've actually saw them myself over the years, and that is why I carry protection. It's not
Correct.
actually, to get out there and try to kill a Bigfoot. Uh,
No.
Now, to say that I would not uh, defend myself, if I were being attacked by one, that's an entirely different story. As a
Exactly.
human species, yeah, we're going to try to defend ourselves if we have to. But as far as going out there and killing one, I'm not all about that.
No. Um, Go back on my ancestors and stuff like that. Cause I do got Cherokee in my blood. Um, how I look at on killing animals and stuff. If you kill it, you gonna eat it. And if it ain't trying to hurt me, hurt my family, or hurt my dogs, no, I have no intention to destroy it.
Right,
Uh,
that's exactly the way I am. I just cannot, I
right?
cannot bring, I cannot bring myself to want to just want to go out there and kill one of these things so science can study it. No, I'm
No,
not about that. And I do believe that one of these days they are going to be one of these creatures that's going to be killed, and but I figure the way I look at it, by the traffic that we've got running the roads and all, there's going to be one that slips up one of these days and gets hit by a truck or something. And if it does, that's fine. That will put a stop to the mystery of these creatures once they have one. But
well, Rick, I'm not trying to be mean or nothing like that. I don't believe it's going to actually put a stop to people saying, these creatures don't exist. I'm not trying to change subjects, nothing like that. But there's there's been word going around for generations and generations and generations about Area 51. Who says aliens ain't real?
Well,
I
you know,
mean,
the government actually finally came out and said that, oh yeah, UFOs. You know, we have had encounters with UFOs. They finally within the last year or so came out and said that.
yeah,
But now, as far as these creatures are concerned, until this day, 90% of even your forestry service workers, your game wardens and stuff, will deny that these creatures exist. They'll tell you, oh, there's no way that there's anything like that out there running around. Although I have talked with some game wardens that is open minded, they'll tell you up front, look, you can't tell anybody I said this, but yes, I have seen these creatures. I've seen evidence of these creatures. I know they exist. But now to get them to say that on the record, they won't do it.
no, they won't do it because, I mean, even with me to this day, even with me having my sight and everything like that, I got people look at me still to this day. Like, man, you was just seeing stuff. It was just a bear or whatever. No, I am not going to say it was a bear one bit because I've seen bears. I've seen bears and stuff that's been stuffed. Ain't no 8, 9, 10 foot, 11, 12 foot bears. And most time when you see a
Not
bear,
not in Georgia anyway,
exactly. Most time if you see a bear, you ain't gonna see it on two legs. You gonna see it on all four.
right?
I mean, I've run across some black bears and stuff like that in my past when I was out camping, doing horse rides and stuff like that. But I've run across bears. I've run across some big cats, uh, wild dogs, coyotes, hogs, but nothing like Monday. I mean,
Well, then, has this changed your perception to knowing that they are something like this out there running around now?
at first, Rick, I ain't gonna lie to you. Uh, I thought you was crazy at first about this whole Bigfoot thing. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought you was. Rick, old man Rick Weaver's just crazy. But actually seeing something like this now, besides hearing the noises and stuff like that, no, it's changed my outlook all the way around about what's actually in these woods, what's actually around this kind of woods. Uh, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Going out of the woods at night, yeah, I might be a little hesitated about it now more than ever, but it's not going to stop me from wanting to know more about these creatures. I mean, Tuesday I didn't go to the woods Tuesday. No, but I guarantee you Monday or Tuesday I will personally during the day go out in the woods and actually look around and see what I can actually see. See if I actually run across anything, um, feet print, stuff that's been broke and stuff like that. But see, uh, I know we've got some bad storms and stuff up here, but nothing really major, if that makes sense to you. I have seen up here for since the beginning of the year, whole trees been pushed over. Uh, limbs, things that I would think
Tyler,
good would blow no, but after seeing something like that, no, I can't really say it was knock these.
well, it kind of changes your outlook once you've had a sighting like this. Uh,
Oh yeah, it's my outlook exactly. When you go to the see trees and everything laying on the ground, whole trees on the ground, roots out of the ground. hey, how did they actually get there? Because I mean, you gotta think, you going through the woods and stuff. How's a whole live tree gonna be laying on the ground, roots and everything? Just one or two trees, and the rest of them around them still standing straight up.
You know, like I try to explain to everybody, these animals possess so much strength that we our minds cannot wrap around the fact of how stout these creatures are.
Right,
Blake and I found an area a couple of years ago where a tree this big around had actually been pulled up out of the ground, snapped off, shoved back down in the ground with the root ball, the whole root system of this thing, probably 3 foot above the ground,
right.
uh, with the root system sticking up in the air at least 3 to 4 foot off the ground. Now you tell me if you know of a human that possesses the strength to be able to push a tree over, snap that thing in half, and turn it up and shove it back down into the hard earth with the root ball exposed like that. You know, if you know of anybody that possesses that much strength, I don't want to meet them. I'm telling you.
I mean, I don't know nobody personally. I mean, even these world's strongest bodybuilders out here, the world's strongest men out here, I don't believe they could do it.
You know what I have? You know we've been doing this. I have been researching these things since 1981. 1984. Uh, I was up on Big Frog Mountain in Tennessee. Some guys at work had told me a few weeks before going up there that they had been in up there the year before, and they had had something chase them out of the woods up there where they were deer hunting. They had evacuated their whole campsite, left
Right,
Coleman stoves, lanterns, everything up there. Well, they gave me the general direction of where it was at. I went back in up there, took my dog with me, uh, walked into the area, found the remnants of their old camp, found canned goods that they'd left, uh, uh, an old Coleman stove that by that time had rusted out, lanterns, found the whole 9 yards. I set up camp there that evening. That night, I this particular dog I had with me was uh, probably about like Dollar is to me now, and I had it loved boiled chicken breast, so I had boiled it chicken breast, and uh, I kept hearing noises off in the woods below me that night. Well, would me and the dog had went in and went in the tent about 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, laid down. Uh, about 15, 20 minutes after we'd been in the bed, the dog sprang up, every hair on it bristled up, it growling, snapping, barking, charged from the tent, run down out of the camp light down into the woods. Uh, was gone maybe 3 or 4 minutes. All I heard was the dog yelp. Uh, I grabbed my revolver, my light, run down into the woods, got searching around. I never heard anything other than the dog yelp. I got down there, I found the dog. She was dead. Her neck had been snapped. I did hear as I approached where she was at, I heard something step on a big log. Uh, the log snapped. I found it the next morning. A log about this big around where whatever this was had stepped up on this log, had knocked the bark off of it, snapped the log. But other than that, I never did see the creature, never heard any racket out of it. I did get a couple of shots off down into the woods, uh, but uh, whatever it was killed my dog. I went back to the area two or three times after that, and never heard anything. So now, whether I'm not saying that it was a Bigfoot that killed my dog, uh, but the dog had no marks on it. Whereas if it'd been a bear would have slapped it. We tore half its head off. There was no kind of marks like that on the dog. The dog had just been grabbed up and its neck popped. So you have to derive your own conclusions to that.
Right. I mean,
I did bury the dog up there on the side of the hill, on the side of the mountain that day. I went back up there a few months later. I'd taken rocks this big around and stacked them all over the grave site to keep any small animals from digging into it. Uh, all the graves or all the rocks were gone off the grave. The body had been pulled out of the grave, and there was nothing left there of the dog. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say that it was a Bigfoot that done it, but
but
whatever it was, moved those rocks and was able to exhume Dixie's uh, carcass from the ground. So I don't know,
there ain't no telling what it was, Rick.
but I do know that with the encounters that Blake and I've had, we've actually had rocks the size of basketballs. We were at the cemetery one night. Okay, we were up under this big elm tree. There's an old soldier's grave there that has stacked rocks stacked up above ground level. We were standing there doing paranormal investigations. Woodline about 60 yards to our left. Rocks come hurtling through the air, come through the treetop, and landing at our feet the size of basketballs. And we cut out and run back up under the pavilion. And just as we got up under the pavilion, there was 6 of us down there that night. Uh, Whatever this was, pushed a tree. We found it the next day. A tree about this big around. It actually pushed that thing over and completely exposed the roots. And when the tree hit the ground, it actually shook the concrete under our feet inside the pavilion. And it hit that hard. And this thing let out a scream, man, that caused every hair on my head to stand straight up. Now the one I encountered in '81, I had it did not scream. Uh, it did not holler out anything at all. I did not hear any racket whatsoever out of this creature. But the first encounter we had in 2011, this thing screamed out that night down there, man, it caused the hair to stand on the back of your head. We went back down there a couple of days later. We started from the cemetery down to the lake, and we got to hearing this real loud chattering sound. And it sounded like it was coming from the treetops. And we got to shining our lights around. Now, this is like 11 o'clock at night. And we got to shining our lights around. And then all of a sudden, the racket sounded like it was coming from all around us. And that was unnerving as hell. But uh, it sounded like they were trying to talk to one another, but in a language that we couldn't understand. And then we went back a few days later, about 12 o'clock one day, started in down to the lake. We had walked all the way around this big pool that came in off the main body of the lake. We'd walked all the way around up beside it, started over into the woods, and got smelling something, man, that it brought tears to your eyes. And it was like that the whole time we were in there. We were probably in there for an hour and a half. We found a couple of stick structures, but we kept smelling this terrible scent. Kept smelling it and smelling it. And the more investigation I've done on this, I do believe that whatever that was, the creature that was there, that we were smelling, that thing was actually watching us the whole time we were in there. We could never see anything, but I know that thing was right there with us.
Right.
But Tommy, with that thing being that close to your house, the best advice I can tell you is just, make sure you keep your outside pets, keep them in an enclosure where this thing hopefully can't tear into them. Your little house dogs, keep them in the house with you, and keep a close watch on your kids, especially late in the afternoons, late in the evenings, when they're out in the yard playing, because there's no telling what this thing liable to do.
But see, Rick, I everybody says these animals are the Bigfoots and Sasquatches and everything like that are extremely dangerous. Well, I ain't saying they ain't, but I say they're more interested in us than we are in them.
Well, I understand that, but as with any wild creature, we don't know what sets these things off.
Exactly.
That's that. That I've had encounter stories where they've stood and watched children play, and I've had just young kids tell me that yeah, they've seen these things that they thought they were bears or whatever watching them. Uh, but I'm just, it just, as a father, as a grandfather, it just makes me be very curious of what these creatures liable to do.
Exactly. I mean, I'd love to know what actually sets these creatures off. Matter of fact, I'd love to know what made the creature come up and actually watch me.
That point is more of curiosity with them than anything that I've found over the years. They're a very curious creature, and they will stand and watch. Uh, I've had people tell me, "Oh, I've been Bigfoot hunting, and go out in the woods and stomp around and never heard a peep out of them." And then
Right?
I've had people tell me, we were out there camping, and we saw this thing, within 20 yards of our camp, just standing there watching us. I had one guy tell about he and his brother being in Alabama on a camp out, and one actually they'd went to bed in their tents, and one actually raided their camp at night and busted their cooler open and tore a tent down on one of them. So that's what I'm saying. We don't know what. You know, we don't know if these
Off.
creatures are hungry. We don't know what they'll do to fill a hunger, just like you and I.
Exactly. It's like one other thing that I ain't mentioning to nobody, but all the rocks I have is in the front yard. Well, in my driveway, not my yard, but in my driveway. Uh, Heck, I've mowed my yard. I don't know how many times now, and it's like every time I mow the yard, there's new rocks in my yard. I mean, decent sized rocks. I probably picked one up yesterday and throwed it back off in the woods, well, to the edge of the woods, probably weighed 2 or 3 pounds. I mean, it was probably about 5, 6 inches thick and probably every bit of 8, 9 inches long, laying in the middle of my yard. But I'm
Right, and we all know these creatures love to throw rocks,
and
and it's
see
just it's something that's in their nature. Uh, I've had rocks whizzed by my head out on investigations. I've had them whizzed by my head within 3 to 4 inches of my head. If they'd wanted to cut my head off one of them, they could have. But
exactly.
I mean, rocks the size of softballs, dude, throw at me. I've
See,
had I took my youngest grandson. We'd been over to the Bigfoot Museum at Blue Ridge, and we came down back down and went down to the lake. I wanted to show him the area where we'd had our encounters down there. And the more than we had parked the truck and walked out under the pavilion, there was something started throwing rocks in against the tin roof of the pavilion. And I'm talking pretty good sized rocks, bouncing rocks off the tin. Scared Ethan so bad he run jumped back in the truck. He didn't want no part of it.
something scared little Ethan.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
I
oh
mean, that
yeah.
was like me. It's hard to actually scare us and make us go back and leave somewhere. I mean, I ain't scared to go in the woods, no. But I am more cautious of what I do in the woods now. Because who says, I mean, again, I'm outside. Who says I don't got one standing off in the woods on my right hand side, standing there and looking at me now? I mean, I don't, ain't heard nothing or nothing like that, not, but I mean, still, they could be anywhere.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. These creatures can do the world's best at camouflage.
See,
They can camouflage themselves in any situation.
here's what scared me the most, okay? And I mean, when I say scared, I mean, wait a minute, where did this come from? Scared. Not really scared, but shocked in a way. You know what I mean, Rick?
Right?
I mean, heck, I've been, since I dropped my boy off at school, a little bit after 8 o'clock, I come home. I didn't even go inside. I stayed outside the rest of the day doing my thing out here in the yard and minding my business. Birds chirping, you hear your squirrels, see rabbits, and everything like that, like you normally would in the woods. No noise. And here it comes about 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock. Man, it's getting hot. I'm going to sit there and take me a breather and give me something cold to drink. And then all of a sudden, wait, where did this figure come from? I mean, it's like no noise and it just showed up.
Right. I mean, that's the way these creatures. That's the way these creatures do. They'll. They're so quiet. You know, it's kind of like my grandfather Painter, who flew full-blooded Cherokee Indian. He said these things could sneak through the woods and never make a bit of racket if they wanted to, or they could sound like a bulldozer going through the woods.
Right?
Uh, Blake and I encountered one over on the Blue Ridge WMA a few years back, well, a couple of years ago, that right at dark that evening, actually there were two of them. It sounded like two owls calling back and forth to one another. But dude, as Blake says, if these were owls calling back and forth to one another, they had to have weighed 600 pounds from the way they sounded.
Oh,
So
yeah.
these things do have a capability of communicating.
They're going to have a way to communicate.
They may not have a spoken language like we do, but
Right?
these things do communicate, whether it be through wood knocks, whether it be through animal sounds, uh, whether it be mimicking us. Uh, I've had people tell me that they've encountered these things where it sounded like uh, somebody that they know down in the woods calling them, and them get down there close enough and run up on these things. So we don't know what these creatures are actually capable of or capable of doing.
Right. I mean, it's,
That's the reason I say be very cautious, especially where you got one coming around that close to your house. Just be very cautious of what goes on around there,
oh, yeah.
and make sure that you watch those kids when they're out in the yards,
Yeah.
because
Heck, when me and the kids are here at the house and kids are outside, they stay in eye contact all the time. They don't go towards the woods, nothing like that, because I don't let them go in the woods unless I'm with them.
right.
And if there's one, if there's anything like a wild dogs, coyotes, stuff like that, if there's one, there's more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I mean, who says they wasn't? They ain't two or three that was close by as well.
That's
When I
that's exactly right, man. You don't know if there's one there watching you, or if there were three there watching you. You really
exactly,
don't know.
I know for a fact there's one creature watching me because I seen it, but I don't know if it had a kid with him or her, if it was a male, it was female, what?
That's exactly right. Well, Tommy, we're up on the hour mark here, bud. I'm going to back off here. I want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story with our viewers tonight. And basically, we will be down hopefully Friday night to do some scouting out in that area. Uh, I've got an area too up on Sandy Gap up in Murray County that I'd like for you to go out one night with us and scout that area out.
What?
I know you got to know where I'm talking about up there. It's off Cool
Yeah,
Springs Road.
I know what Sandy Mountain is.
Okay. All right. I've had a couple of reports come from that area up there. We're going to go up there and do an investigation. Uh, I'm hoping here in the next couple of weeks to be able to get a better thermal imaging system than what I've got now, where we can really see these things at night before they see us. But Tommy, anyway, man, I want to thank you for coming on and joining us. I want to thank everybody that's watched the show tonight, everybody that's commented. We've really had a good time on here tonight. Letting Tommy, letting Tommy tell everyone, the encounter stories he had. I hope, Tommy, that you'll be more cautious in the woods from now on. I know I am. Uh, and I'd like to thank everybody. Everybody like to say, if you would go on and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Let YouTube know that you like the content of our program. If you haven't subscribe, hit that bell notification. Um, Everybody, good night. God bless, and thank you. And thank you again, Tommy.
You're welcome.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
See you later, Ricky. Good night.
Good night.